Gentlemen, welcome to SCW Atrocity in April, being held by Slam City Wrestling in front of just under 700 people in the Slowdown. Mike and Cohen welcome us to Atrocity in April and say that tonight is laced with tons of competitive Tax Grand Prix matches before we take a break next week. Cohen says his edition, both world champions will be on the line, so a 59 out the gate to get us started. Alright, in an exceptional match, the Fantasticos, Chico Blancos, finally get back on the winning board with Gino Medina and Sam Stackhouse when Fantasma pins Medina. 27 Grand Prix has advanced, 72, 87, 55, 47 for Gringo El Fantasmo, Sam Stackhouse, and Gino Medina, 65, 35, and 73, so a great match here in SCW. Alright, next up, and about that, Superb Wrestling Good Heat, one called Manders and Southside OTP of defeated KJ Orso and Mustache Army in 11-11 when one called Manders pins Bam Sullivan with his Dr. Bomb. 55, 58, and 75 for Jacobs, Brooks, and Manders. Sullivan, Zane, and Orso put up a 40, 56, and 59. 65 overall here at Atrocity. All right, next up, and about that at Great Wrestling in DC, Eddie Kingston defends his championship against Lex in just over 8 minutes with his Blackout Lariat. 7th championship defense here for the Mad King. All right, next up, Violence Dominance. Atticus Kogart talks about that. Everything about his run at SCW and openly challenges Eddie Kingston first shot at the SCW championship. Atticus Kogart says why he doesn't like Gade Kidd, he doesn't have the wrong idea. He agrees in large part with everything Kidd said about Kingston and that he's the biggest problem SCW has. 50 overall here as Kogart continues his slow build. All right, next up, and about that at Good Wrestling and Decent Reaction, Liga Lucha defeats man like DeReese and Joseph Bishop when Blanc pins Reese with the Temple Ground. He was hurt. The man like DeReese is still hurt after that broken ankle, so he's really struggling here. 58, 51, 50, and 32. All right, the crowd was lifted, though, given Mike and Cohen doing a great job. The Liga Lucha gets a victory here tonight at SCW Atrocity in April. All right, next up, we have Alex Crowley defeating Joey Grove and Lindsay Snow with by pinning Joey Grove with her finish. 41, 41, and 41. Look at that, all with 41. Joey Grove was off of her game. 46 overall, though, with Crowley getting the win here tonight as a cool-down match. All right, now in the next episode of match, Joey Janela and Matt Cardona defeat L.A. Park Jr. and Charles Mason when Janela pins Park with a moonfoot stomp designed to tell a story. Cardona was head and shoulders above everyone else. 55, 40, and 62 for the wrestling crowd. And segment 69, 57, 52, and 43 for Cardona, Janela, Mason, and L.A. Park Jr. And about that, a superb wrestling and good reaction from the crowd. La Hija de Guadabella defeats Arisha Nahashima in 7:46 by pinfall with the V-trigger. La Hija de Guadabella makes defense number 23 of the SCW Women's World Championship. 60 and 67. An absolute banger of a match. And in the main event, in a wild brawl that had fantastic heat and great wrestling, the War Dogs finally defeat Adrenaline Drip here in the Tag Grand Prix when Gotch pins Jack Cartwheel with a This Means War. This was a part of the 27 Grand Prix tournament. 43, 32, 54, and 70. Cappuccino Jones and Jack Cartwheel are excellent teaming together, and finally, Adrenaline Drip takes the loss here. Them and the War Dogs were undefeated in the Tag Grand Prix, and it took one hell of a showing from Gotch and Coughlin to get the loss. All right, we got a 63 overall. Not terrible, not great. A lot of independent wrestling action here tonight. Let's go ahead and stand by as we check the standings. All right, and we are back here. As we take a look at the standings, Adrenaline Drip has 9. Fantastico Chicos Blancos with 6. The Liga Lucas with 3. War Dogs with 12. Mason and Park with 6. Stackhouse and Gino with 3. DeReese and Bishop with 0. And Janela and Cardona with 9. So it's still really anybody's game with 3 matches left to go. It should be mentioned, however, that Darius and Bishop are really struggling given the broken ankle Darius is wrestling through into the tournament. But nevertheless, this is Mike wishing you a
glorious
rest of your day. Hey.